You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 143, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. With me, as usual, is John, who is Trade You at Recess, and our friend Will is back, filling in for Hyung again this week. All right, before we begin, just a quick shout out to Ryan Olson for listening to our episode last week and leaving his feedback on Spotify. We always appreciate any kind of feedback, and Ryan was honest enough to say the topic of breaking in the hobby isn't something he likes to listen to, but he is aware others are into it. So we appreciate your understanding. That said, sorry Ryan, we're going to talk about breaking just briefly off the top again because I just wanted to point out an article actually that came out on ESPN.com titled "The Controversial Rise and Uncertain Future of Box Breaks." Definitely worth reading, in my opinion. It touches on the inventor of the box break, which I found interesting. How Leighton pulled that one-of-one Doncic card, I think back in 2019, which is now worth over $1 million. And as well in that article, it talks about how the popularity of breaking online didn't happen in a vacuum. The writer, he says, quote, "The human desire to watch other people open up things had become a new phenomenon in the mid-2000s, and it wasn't just sports memorabilia,"
right.
End quote. So he talks about like unboxing videos, which is still popular today on YouTube and other social media platforms, right? So anyway, I want to ask you guys first, do you still watch breaks on YouTube, although you're not part of the break? And do you guys still find it entertaining?
I haven't watched a break in quite a while, actually. Obviously, I think we get feeds of top 10 breaks or some crazy hit that happened. That's all of our stories. So obviously we're going to watch these little 5-second clips of some big hits. But other than that, I haven't actually watched a break in a while.
Okay. How about you, Will?
Yeah, for me, I might watch a couple breaks on like release date or something like that, just so I could get a sense of what that set or that series is looking like. But like, you know, when I'm at work and I'm just doing some like administrative work and I can put something on in the background, you know, I always go float between The Office, or I just put on like just something like more entertaining box breaks, like striker breaks or stuff like that. He's not really breaking for people a lot of times. He's just breaking he's just ripping open packs. So I'll watch those every once in a while.
Yeah, if Hyung was here, I'm sure he probably watches the most breaks out of all of us because
that's because he's in on all of them. yeah. He like sends us links. He's like, "Hey, if you guys are bored, watch my break. I have the Phillies or I have the Reds." And we're such losers. Like half of our group is watching it. And the video's so grainy, and you're like, "Did you hit something? I can't tell."
Yeah, he's definitely the gambler in the group. And you know, I was gonna say, like, I used to make fun of people watching others play video games, like on Twitch or even, you know, in real life when we're growing up. And it's like, how much fun is that? But now I find myself kind of still doing a similar thing with watching other people open packs that don't belong to me, right? Yeah. And I haven't watched one recently, but I do, just like you will, whenever there's a new release and I'm thinking about buying a box, I want to see like what kind of hits come out of other people opening up that same box, right? And I don't know if this makes me a bad person, but when they don't hit anything good, I'm like, yes. Then, you know, like the one I get has a better chance of getting a better hit. Or, you know, but you know, it's more common that you're not going to see major hits out of these breaks. Obviously, just playing the odds, right? But yeah, and you know, I do film some of my, like, even my blaster box openings just in case, and And a lot of those videos, I don't even post up because it's just like the worst box ever. You know, I take a photo of my hits and I showed you guys like the one I just did recently with my Mega Box Topps Heritage. That was garbage, right? And yeah, this is a funny feeling when you're so excited, and then after the break you're like, oh, just that depressed.
It's always regret.
Regret. That's right. Yeah.
Or disappointment. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, definitely read the article. It's really interesting article about just the beginning of the box break and how prevalent it is today in the hobby. Okay, let's go on to hobby headlines. So I got the idea for today's hobby headlines segment after I saw a photo on Twitter of a man in a retail store, I think it was Walmart, who seemed to be weighing blaster boxes with his mini scale. Okay, and he's presumably trying to find the hit in each box, thinking that thicker cards, you know, or the hits, which are generally thicker cards, would make the box weigh a little bit more than a regular non-hit box, right? So starting with this example, I'm going to ask you if you think this is fair game, or if it's wrong, or just bad hobby etiquette. All right. So, and I'll have a few more examples after this. So it'll be kind of fun what we think of each situation. So who wants to go first with this first example of you know, we've seen it before, I'm sure, on social media, people searching packs or looking for boxes using any advantage they could.
Yep. Yeah. Bad etiquette for me.
Slightly. Yeah.
Bad etiquette?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll continue. Sorry, well, I'll go first. Yeah, I think it's bad. Is it illegal? No. Is it frowned upon by the hobby? Obviously. So I think it classifies as I'm just gonna say it's bad etiquette.
Fair enough. How about you, Will?
What I really appreciate about that guy, I don't know him, but I know him. That guy, he didn't bring that digital scale with him. He went to the electronics section at Walmart and grabbed a digital scale. Awesome. Then he went over to the battery center.
No, he
picked
didn't.
up a couple AA batteries, plugged it in, walked over to the card section. So he had zero cost. That's the type of guy that would be weighing packs at a Walmart. I mean, it's slightly better than the people who molest packs and are like feeling around for, I don't know, some sort of hint. What's crazy is the Topps Heritage packs. Those ones are like transparent. The wrapper's a little bit transparent. So I don't know if you saw that post. Somebody made a post maybe last week where they say they could see the auto through the wrapper, and so that's
the Lucille Ball.
Cut
auto,
the cut
or
auto,
like that, crazy.
Which is crazy that would be in just like a fat pack or a hanger pack or whatever they're called. But yeah, so it's slightly better than those people who will like molest the card boxes or card packs. And I mean, it's way better than the people who are just straight ripping packs in the Walmart. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen in those aisles.
I've seen that.
It's just like cards, just ripped open cards. And
it's so bad.
I'd like to say it's kids, but it's never the kids. It's always
a grown man.
It's a grown man who didn't buy a digital scale. He just took it from the section. I'm telling you. Yeah, so pure bad etiquette, pure just terrible.
You know, when we were kids and you feel around the packs, you know, we had opportunities to do that, and like I think all of us can sit here and say that as a kid you probably would have done it. Like if you had the opportunity to know the difference between an upper deck pack that had nothing versus an upper deck pack that had King Griffey, you know damn well we're all going to take advantage as kids, right? The difference now, I think. Yeah. When you're a kid trying to go for that hit because it's of the hobby or for your collection, I don't know if it makes it any better, but it's not as sleazy. I don't know. I think now you can obviously it's not kids going for their collection. It's grown adults looking to get the kaboom hit and then quickly flip it and sell it and make that ROI, right? So Yeah. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
I think so.
Guys.
Yeah.
I have to... Well, first of all, we said that we weren't going to do a longer episode and that I was going to try not to go on so many tangents, but I have to confess something. When I was a kid...
You're the guy in the photo?
What? No, I'm not the guy in the photo. Thank God. They got me. When I was a kid in the aisle of Walmart, or maybe it was Zellers, there was a ripped open package of Pogs. Remember Pogs?
And
it was hockey Pogs. And I'm pretty sure I took like a Sandiz Ozolin. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Sandiz
I'm pretty sure I took... I'm pretty sure I took a Pog. And it was already ripped open. And I was like, well... I might as well just take it because it was just on the floor. Who knows? I was trying to reason, like as an 8-year-old, like
justify,
well,
right?
Yeah, it's not really theft.
That's not etiquette. That's theft.
That goes in
straight theft.
That's wrong.
That's straight theft, right? Like I should go. What's the statute of limitations on stealing a 2-cent Pog from the early 90s?
I think you're safe now, but.
Yeah.
But wow, well,
so
I can't believe you've been living.
I'm just saying, I'm slightly better, only slightly, or maybe I'm slightly worse than the Walmart.
The difference,
guy.
you're talking about the difference of should I weigh this pack or should I just take the entire pack?
No, I only took one.
Okay. Just one, okay.
Just one. I didn't take the blaster, the metal. What were they called? Blasters. Or no?
I don't know. Oh, the
flipper?
The actual slammer?
Slammer.
I hope you don't edit out John's comment earlier, and I hope you don't edit out this either.
This is unedited episode today.
Dear Lord.
All right, let's move on.
Well, I appreciate you finally coming out with the truth. I don't know how you lived with that guilt for this long, but I guess it had to come out. For me, I'm gonna say it's bad etiquette. Because you know why? Because now the manufacturers or tops, they'll put like blank cardboard stock in the packs, right, to kind of counteract people that use a scale to weigh and try to find an advantage that way. So, there's it's not foolproof what that guy is doing. So it's just bad etiquette. And I've on the flip side, I've opened packs where it had that cardboard stock thinking it was a hit, and it's just like a blank cardboard paper. It's the disappointment. All right. So that's bad etiquette. Okay, scenario 2. Actually, I saw this question posed by our friend Jeremy Lee, who we actually had on as a guest on our podcast a couple weeks ago.
That's such a great episode.
On his Instagram.
So good.
Yeah, if you missed it, just look back a week or 2 weeks ago, and interview with Jeremy Lee is right there. But on his Instagram, I think it was yesterday, or it might have been earlier today, long day, he asked whether it's market manipulation to bid on a card that you already have just so it doesn't end up with a much lower comp value. Okay? So that would also mean, of course, you would now have 2 of the same card. So you're buying it, so that it won't end up with a lower comp value, devaluing the card you already have. What do you guys think?
It's 100% okay. I've 100% done it multiple times. Okay. And the difference is why it's not manipulation is there is someone else who is bidding on that card. Like you can't just bid it up to a certain number if nobody else has a comparable max bid. Mm-hmm. If you bought the card at $600 and now this auction's at like $150, you can't get the bid up to $600 again unless someone else is going along the ride, going along there with you.
Right.
So I don't think it's manipulation. I also think it's kind of like stocks. Like you buy, if you can get a good deal on a stock, you buy it low and then you flip it for more later on, right? So I'm okay with it. I don't think there's anything, unless you guys have a different thought. I'm I'm ready to listen.
I think I'm with you. I think I'm perfectly fine with it. You know, if you're attempting to get 2 of the same card or 3 of the same card, and we're talking like Lucas Silver with a pop of 2,000, you know, you're the idiot. You're the fool because you ain't manipulating anything.
Right.
But, you know, if you're a high-end collector and you have Shohei's Bowman Chrome red auto, right? And then a second red auto comes out, and let's say you paid $250,000 and that second one pops up, and you're willing to pay another $250,000 to protect the price. I think it's actually a smart move to protect your original investment, get a second one, and the new comp is what you paid for the second one. And then now you kind of control the market, right? So I don't, I'm with Will. I don't see anything wrong with it. Now, if you have a buddy that's playing the game with you on purpose, obviously that's called shill bidding, and that's wrong. But I think if you're clearly up against somebody else and you're willing to pay the price is still the price. Like even if you paid the price and you bought a second one, that is still market value because you thought you're willing to pay it, right? So yeah, I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. I guess it's all in the wording too, like the nuance. It's you, even when by you saying you're controlling the market, is that market manipulation, True. Right? I still think it's okay, but it could still be market manipulation, right? I just don't think there's a overly negative connotation to play that game, right? And you're taking the risk yourself too. Like you could buy the second card, and then if a third card comes up,
you
know,
you buy that
might
one
not
too.
have the funds to buy. You keep buying it. Yeah, you're gonna run out of cash, especially if it's on the higher end. So you know you're doing it at your own risk. So yeah, I don't have an issue with it either. But yeah, it's a risk for you. All right, I got scenario 3. Okay, what do you guys think about being at a local card show and making a trade with a fellow collector that happens to be near another seller's booth? Right? So I've been there where people that have booths and you're like, oh, you have this card, you know, you're both at the booth and you're like, you find out the collector beside you has a card that you want and you're like, oh, let's make a deal. And I know the people that have the booth they just want you out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want you anywhere near. What do you guys think about that scenario?
Selfishly, I am guilty of doing that in front of a booth, and I actually
no way.
Yeah, no deal got done, but we you're just having a conversation with the guy next to you, and the next thing you know is like, hey, you have any like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander? I'm like, yeah, I got a couple.
Right.
I'll show it to you right now, right? Because I was already about to show it to the dealer or whatever that was about to happen. At the time, at first, it felt very, it didn't feel like it was anything wrong. But as we were continuing our conversation, I realized I felt pretty bad about it. So I do think it's pretty poor. I've done it before, and I'll admit I think it's pretty poor etiquette to do that.
Well, why did you feel bad about it?
Because it's his space. It's the booth space. It's the dealer there is.
Were you like putting your boxes and cards on their?
Yeah,
tables?
you're just like you're from the dealers. I could see from the dealer's perspective, you're basically sort of blatantly competing with his products right in front of, like, in his space, right? So I think it is. I believe it's pretty rude to do that. So yeah, it would be. Okay. Yeah, I classify it as poor etiquette. I've done it and I felt bad.
Okay.
Well, but it's not like, were you just like near his table, or were you like, you weren't like putting your cards and products on his table?
No. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But what ended up happening was we
it wasn't like, hey, let me leave my backpack here on your table while I talk to this guy.
Let me cover your cards that you're trying to sell.
No. We were like just chatting, and then I actually kind of like stepped to the side to let other people kind of view his booth, but we were still right there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I could have done it again, I would have asked the guy, like, let's just walk way down there, like maybe to the hallway or something. I probably would have done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because a lot of the shows that we go to, especially the bigger ones, they do have like the hallways set up, or even like a side room where you can go and do your own trades and stuff like that. Now, obviously, if you're like using the table space or like restricting other people from being able to view this dealer's cards,
right,
then that's a pretty D-bag move. Like if I was running the table, I'd be like, I would just start swearing and cussing at them and be like, get away. Like you're interfering on my business, right? I'd be pretty annoyed. So I think you have to have some common sense. But I mean, it happens a lot of times. You'll be sharing about your cards, and the dealer might have zero interest. And then the guy next to you, like, because like tons of times I'll go to a booth, I'll be like looking for baseball, and there's not a lot of baseball cards in our shows. And then the guy next to me is also looking for baseball, and then we'll start chatting up baseball. And like, obviously, we're not going to stand right in front of this guy's booth, but like, you know, conversations happen, and you kind of pull off to the side, like Johnny was saying, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened to me before too, where some guy was looking for a card and I happened to have one, and we didn't strike a deal. But it was kind of like, I'm with you guys too. Like, you don't put your bags on the actual display case. That's poor etiquette, right? But like, if you're, I guess it's proximity. How close do you need to be, or how far do you need to be to make it okay to do a separate transaction? And I feel like I was, maybe I would say 6, 7 feet away from the booth.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
They could hear us, obviously, talking about it. But then, the guy was saying, guys, can you just get out of here? Like, if you're gonna do, obviously he was irked that we're talking about this, and maybe he thought that, this guy was maybe thinking of buying a card in this booth, but now he's talking to me and we're trying to make a deal, right? So I could see from that point of view why he would get upset. But at the same time, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, relax. I'm like, like, if you're not impeding on other people coming to your booth, then, the more trades you make with other collectors, the better it is for the hobby. You could easily come back to the booth if you want to, buy one of their cards or look for something else. Maybe that trade leads to another trade. You know what I mean? Like, so it's I guess it's proximity, but
it's not like the guy at the booth had a Austin Matthews Young Guns PSA 10, and he's like, oh, it's $2,000, and then the guy's like, oh, that's too expensive, and then you like came in, you're like, hey, I have an Austin Matthews Young Guns PSA 10 for
exactly
$1,300. Like, it's not like you stole a sale or anything like that.
Exactly.
Everyone needs to calm down.
Yes, good advice. All right. Do you guys have one? Because if you don't, I have one more.
Yeah, I think I have one, and when you go to card shows these days, and maybe this is less so in sort of the local card shows, but the bigger ones, this is certainly just from my experience at the expo. Early in the pandemic is very easy. Like, everything was moving, so trades are easy. Yada yada. You could literally plunk down like 100 slabs, and a dealer would probably be interested in 50 of them, and you can make a crazy deal. Like, because just everything is moving. But now, obviously, very specific things are moving. Like, it's either Elly de la Cruz or Shohei, and it's like, dealers are not interested in anything else, right? So I get it. Now, trading things like that is very, very challenging. It's very difficult. I think one thing that irks me, and I'm speaking from the buyer's perspective, not the dealer's perspective, is the whole like 60% the comps, like how they say, I need to eat, like I need some money in this. Like, I get that part. I actually perfectly respect that. But let's say Austin Matthews is, like a comp is $1,500, right? A Young Guns. I don't think it is, but let's just say it's $1,500. The dealer will have it at $2,000, so way above the comp. And then if you're trying to deal, they're still wanting the $2,000 as a trade, and then they're going to price your trade value at $60. So they're eating twice. They're eating on the difference of the comp, and they're eating on your cards. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like, if we're actually going to do like a fair deal, bring your product down to like a comp value, and then I don't mind taking a 60, 70%, like a big hit on my cards. I'm okay with that. But like, at least let's make a fair deal, right? Like don't you're telling me you want to eat, but you're basically eating twice here. You know, like you're charging me extra on the card and you're like taking a big percentage of a cut, right? So from a buyer's perspective, that's like it's really annoying to deal with. Like some of these dealers, I'm like, guys, come on, like you're blatantly like, I get it. You don't want these cards. I'm fine with that, but like, you know, like I don't know. Yeah. It was a bit of a pet peeve for me.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I see that in a lot of like Facebook groups where someone's like trying to trade a card and they put their trade value at like 1.4x the last, like whatever the comp is.
Right.
And I'm just like, and then I'll offer like, I'm not offering like a bunch of like base trash cards to try and get up to their card. I might be offering like a 1-to-1 trade or a 2-for-1 trade. And it's like, well, if you get to inflate your comp to that number, I'll inflate my comp the same.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh, no, you're too expensive. It's like, no, we're playing the same game. Like, if you want to comp it at both of our comp levels, that's like the actual comps, that's totally fine. But if you want to comp yours higher, you can do that, but I'll do the same multiplier. And then they just get like butthurt and they're like, nah, your card's not even that good. And
right.
So annoyed. Yeah. I'm so annoyed with Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups and trying to trade with people.
Yeah, that's I think my opinion is you could price whatever you want. You could do 1.4 2 times the comp. But I think what you said at the end, Will, is what I dislike the most. Like, you know, don't have a negative attitude because people, you know, don't want to pay that price, you know, and don't disparage other people's collection saying, oh, it's not worth that much. And I'm like, yeah, you know, your card's not worth that much either. Yeah. So, you know, like you don't want to, you know, just be negative about the whole thing. So yeah, you know what, at the end of the day, if they comp it way too high, likely no one's going to buy it anyways. So they're going to hold on to that for a lot longer until they bring their cards down. And I think we're seeing less and less of it now. You know, we definitely saw a lot of it when, like you said, John, we were at the hype. And now that things are kind of crashing down a bit and, you know, market correcting, right at the beginning of that phase, people just wanted to get as much as they could back, you know? And now the realization is there for sellers, like, okay, I gotta get something back or I'm going to get zero. You know what I mean? Like they're going closer to comps now, fortunately. So yeah, I totally understand that situation too. All right, I got one more. Just kind of a creative scenario. I don't know if it ever happens, but I was trying to think of a good one. Okay, so let's say you're an owner of a card store, okay? And you have a case of, let's say, Topps Chrome baseball. And one day a customer buys a box from that case and gets the case hit. Okay? Do you have a responsibility to notify future customers buying a box from that same case that the case hit was already pulled?
Ooh, that's a great scenario.
Someone says, "Hey, I want to buy another box of Topps Chrome," but you know the case hit is gone, and there's like a 10 boxes, hobby boxes left.
I wouldn't be mad if the owner didn't disclose. I think that is just a part of being the, like, I mean, if you were to ask every owner in that, and I'm sure that scenario has come across quite a bit, they're going to keep their mouth shut and they're going to sell. Obviously, maybe if it was a really, really good customer, like I've had owners that are like very, very honest, which you appreciate. Like if it's like a really regular customer that spends a lot of money in the shop, I'm sure they'll be pretty honest with those people. But for like a regular Joe walking in, I'm sure they'll keep their mouth, you know, closed. And right. I get it. I understand. You know, the more I thought about this, you know, thinking, going back to like weighing blaster boxes and things like that, that's been a thing for forever, right? Even when Hyung talked about the 1989 Upper Deck chasing Ken Griffey, like people knew that it's you know, the top right quadrant, you know, fourth pack down, that's where like the Ken Griffey kind of comes out of, right?
Right.
And what I'm sad about is when we were kids, We didn't know that. Like, clearly all of these shops knew that. Yeah. And now I feel so ugly inside that I was buying packs, individual packs at $2, like using my, my allowance every time, and the owner knowing the Griffey's gone. Clearly the Griffey's gone, and this kid is just eating up all of these single packs, like spending his money. And I'm just like thinking about going back to those days, and I'm like, man, I must have got ripped off like my entire career as a kid, like just opening these packs. Because then we didn't buy hobby boxes, we bought single packs, right? So
packs, for sure.
The amount of times that I must have got ripped off, I feel bad for my younger. I feel bad for my younger self.
Yeah,
I think about that too. It makes me sad.
Totally.
My hope is, and the thing is, my childhood LCS is still in existence. So my hope is that they've always been honest and upright, and they don't want to risk losing their community by doing stuff like that. So that's my hope. But deep down inside, knowing the true nature of humans, we got ripped off for sure. Yeah. So for me, like, I remember I could only buy loose packs when I was a kid. It's like $5 a pack every couple weeks with allowance money and whatnot. And looking back, just like you said, John, it's like, oh, I cringe thinking about what I missed out on. And then I remember like a few months ago, I went to 401 Games and I picked up a hobby box, and then he was at the back because it's like an older set, and he brought it to the front. He's like, oh, I just had to crack a new case just to get it. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, give me 2 boxes then, because it's a new case. And I was like, so excited about getting the case hit, and both hobby boxes, of course, no auto, just relic. So somebody hit the case hit, and it wasn't me. So then that makes me think like, oh my God, when I rip, I think we just have to buy cases from now on.
Just exactly.
No loose packs, no loose boxes, just cases.
Straight cases. Yeah.
That's the only way.
It's the only way to protect ourselves.
Hey, all our friends on our WhatsApp group, guys, we just got to pitch in for the case, all right? To make it level ground, level playing field. Yeah. This is a hard one because I understand from a business owner perspective. Like, what are you going to do? Like, not sell those packs or boxes? If you knew the case that was gone, like, you got to still sell them.
And there could be other hits.
I was going to say, yeah. Like, you could get a nice auto. You maybe not get necessarily to get the case hit, but, you could, unless you're Will, you have a chance to get the auto, not the relic, right? So, yeah, if you're in the Toronto area, go to the LCS where Will gets his stuff. The relics are all gone, so you have a better chance of hitting the auto from top series 1 or 2. But yeah, that's a hard one.
A good one.
You know what? If I was a store owner, if someone asked me and I knew that the queso was gone, I would tell them the truth. My conscience would just eat me. And then, like you guys, I think about my 8-9-year-old self, and I feel sorry for that kid because we're just like wasting our allowance money all in one shot, getting nothing of value. So that was the best I could think of.
That was actually a really good one.
Those are good. Okay. Those are good. I like that. I like this one. You guys should do this one again.
Yeah, let's see what Hyung says when he comes back on. All right, let's go into our next segment. We're calling Over Under. So we've done this before, but if you're new to the pod or you missed it the last time we did this, what I'm going to do is name a card that's sold recently, like within the past week or two. And I was looking at Card Ladder for some of the information and eBay as well. And I'm going to throw out a dollar amount for that card, and you guess if it's sold for over or under that number. Simply enough, right? So the first one, the 2016 Panini Flawless Jamal Murray 1/1 logo man, rookie patch auto, BGS 9.5 Gentman.
Oh, wow.
Sold recently, yeah. So the 101 logo man for Jamal Murray is flawless. Rookie. I'm going to throw out the number 25,000. Over or under that?
I'm over.
Okay.
I am
how much?
25,000.
How much do you think it's over?
I'm gonna say 32,000, and I don't know anything about 101 logo man prices, so 32.
101 is always the hardest. Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to guess over. I feel like the answer is somewhere there, like 22,000 or 28,000. Clark chose that number very specifically.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really tight. I'm gonna guess over too.
Okay. The correct answer is over $30,000.
$30,000. Oh, good one, Will.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, you're close, Will. All right, another basketball one. Second one here. 2018. This guy I've been dead wrong about. Trae Young, gold Prizm rookie card. PSA 10. Gold Prizm. Okay.
PSA 10.
Card, PSA
out of
10.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah. Gold Prizm. It's a nice looking card. I'm going to throw out 25,000 again.
Whoa.
It sold recently?
Yep.
Wait, sorry, 25,000?
Yes, is the number.
I'm gonna, man, Trae Young taking a beating. I'm gonna guess under. I feel like it would have gone for like 17 grand or something surprisingly low.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like what John's thinking, so I'm gonna go with him. I was thinking maybe it goes like remarkably low.
All right, so it's sold. A PSA 10 sold for 28,000.
No way!
Oh wow!
What?
Yeah.
Wow,
Trae
Prizm
Young
Gold,
collectors,
so strong.
They can't quit him.
Wow.
Actually, it was sold on May of this year, so a little bit longer, but still 28,000. You know, you're not going to see those sales every day, right? Number to 10. Okay, here we go. Number 3. Mike Trout's 2009 Bowman Draft Picks and Prospects autograph card. The one, the 2009, right? Where he's in his red jersey. PSA 10. Okay. 12,000.
Go for it, Will.
I'm gonna say lower.
Okay.
I'll say 10,000.
Yeah, I'm under 2.
Yeah. Wow, you think Mike Trout's compared to Shohei just crashing? The only angel that's...
Let's not talk about... Can we have an episode where we don't talk about Shohei? I'm like FOMOing so hard.
Sorry, the next one will be a Shohei card, and that's it. We won't talk about Shohei after that one, okay?
Pick one.
So under? Okay.
Shohei versus Shohei.
Okay, so Mike Trout's 2009 Bowman Prospect Auto PSA 10 sold for $15,240.
Oh, damn.
So it's over.
Terrible at this game.
But
we're idiots.
It's come down.
We're complete idiots.
It's come down from about 50K at its peak, so it's definitely dropped a lot.
Sorry, Mike Trout.
I'm not feeling good about my Mike Trout. Well, my Mike Trout, that's a BGS 9, is a long-term hold anyways, but yeah, it's been going down. Okay, 2018 Bowman Chrome Shohei Ohtani rookie card. Base Bowman Chrome 2018 Shohei Ohtani rookie card. His BGS 10 black label. 22,000.
Is this the batting image?
Over.
It is the batting, yes.
Bowman Chrome batting image.
Number 1.
Black label.
In that set.
Base.
Black label.
Base.
Yep. No auto.
Oh, it's not an auto?
Dude, you know that?
No.
I don't know if you guys recall, but that card, our buddy Andrew, like back when he was I first kind of like introduced him back into sports cards. He immediately went to Shohei. This is when Shohei was just coming off injury. Like Shohei cards were so cheap, and he obviously picked up the exquisite auto.
Yep.
And he picked up a bunch of riffraff cards, like, you know, pink refractor. And one of the cards he ended up picking up, which I thought about at the time, was the Bowman Chrome base PSA 10 batting image. And the batting image at that time was cheaper than the pitching image. He picked it up. He picked out the PSA 10 for like $50 or $40. And I don't know how much it's worth now, but I remember at the peak it was like $1,500 or something pretty wild. So
how much was it? Did you say?
Like at the peak, I think it went up to like $1,500. Is it higher than that now?
Okay. It's this card you're talking
that's
about.
That's the card,
right?
Yeah.
Black label.
So you're saying black label? And what was the number?
22,000? No.
22,000? No way. It can't be.
Yeah, that's under. If I hear over 22, that's got to be the
Shohei Mania right now, man. Shohei Mania.
Under, man. Under.
Wait,
that'd be the most absurd
base card.
This is just the base. Yeah,
nothing.
nothing.
Oh my God. I thought we were talking about auto. It's got to be below. Don't buy the grade, people. Don't buy the grade.
That'd be the most absurd ratio of buying the grade in history.
20,400. You're right. It's under, but
oh my gosh! Even still,
I should have said 20,000. I should have said that. Yeah.
Why would you buy it for 20,000?
That's insane. Oh my. Wait, what does PSA 10 go for? Do you guys know? $1,000, $800.
That's ridiculous, though.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this number right? And I'm like looking at the cards like, no, it's just a base Bowman Chrome in a black label. 20,400 at a golden auction, June 28th, which was yesterday. Yeah, crazy. All right. Last one for our Canadian hockey fans. The 1979 Wayne Gretzky O-Pee-Chee, the iconic 1979 rookie card, is PSA 8. I'm going to throw out 15,000.
Oh, I should know this. PSA 8.
Let's see what the pop count is.
15,000.
Pop count 785.
Above.
15,000. Okay. Yeah. PSA 8?
Yep. PSA 9, for comparison, sold last for 114,000.
6 figures, yeah. I think the PSA 8 is probably 17,000, 18,000, I'm guessing. I'm going to say over.
Both over? All right. The correct answer is under 13,000.
Oh, yeah, we're idiots. Confirmed.
Steal. Yeah. Buy it now.
No, I feel like that's still a lot. 13,000.
Dude, you know, like if you look at because the grading on that O-Pee-Chee is so subjective. I've legitimately seen PSA 8s that look better than the PSA 10. Yeah, really? The PSA 10 is not crispy clean. Like it has some like slight edge issues, and you know, like I have seen really, really nice PSA 8s, and it might have like a weird printing smudge that you can't even notice. It just seems like it's a part. You know, some of those images are a little bit blurry back in the day, and that kind of goes against the surface grading. So the edges and the corners, they could all be sharp, but then maybe like a weird smudge looking ink print causes it to get an 8. There are some beautiful looking 8s out there, man. I will admit.
I agree that it's pretty subjective. Like if you had the money to just buy PSA 8s, would you trying to crack and resubmit?
Oh,
no, I'm too scared.
Yeah, you know, these older cards, it's one of those things where you feel like PSA is going to want like the whole thing about pop control, and whether you believe it's like a conspiracy or
exactly.
Not. But I bet you PSA would be, you know, with a fine-tooth comb looking at these cards to make sure they don't get it wrong, right? Yeah. So, like I'd be scared to regrade those cards.
That's I brought up that question for exactly that point. Like I doubt PSA 8 or PSA would give you a 9 or 10 unless it was that perfect.
Certainly not a 10.
Like, yeah. Yes, right. You might actually get a PSA 7 or 6 instead. More likely to, anyway. All right. That was a hard one, eh? I think you guys went 1 for 5 or something there. But to be fair, I tried to come up with numbers that were close to the actual amount. So it could have gone either way. All right. That's your edition of Over Under this week. We'll go on to our final weekly segment we call Pick One. All right, I know, John, you came in a bit late, so you're still thinking of one. So, Will, do you want to start things off, and then I can go right after?
Yeah. So my pick one. Let me just pull it up. It's two of the greatest Brooklyn Nets of all time. I dare say fan favorites of the Nets. Yeah, they're both super influential. They're beloved by not many. We have the 2012 Kyrie Irving Prizm Silver Prizm PSA 10.
Former Nets.
Oh, yeah, former Nets, yeah. Forever in the Nets' hearts, though. Nets fans' hearts. Versus the 2009 Topps Chrome James Harden PSA 10. The base is out of $9.99. So Silver Prizm Kyrie Irving PSA 10 versus the base out of $9.99 Topps Chrome PSA 10 for James Harden. The last sold for Kyrie is $11.25, and the last sold for the Harden is $1,400. So they're kind of around the same number. They are both going to be Hall of Famers. They both have tons of accolades. Yeah. Who are you picking?
Oh, rough.
It's a good one.
So unlikable.
Yeah. And the pop's low on both of them. I think it was like 27 for the Kyrie and like 60 for the Harden. Yeah. So super low pop.
Right.
They're both polarizing. I just don't. I put James Harden, disrespectfully or not. I put them in the same category as like Russell Westbrook, just like unlikable. Their makeup, they just don't have what it takes, I think, to win and to even if they're surrounded by winners, I think they're just like, I don't know, like they're the opposite of chemistry. They're like the disruption of chemistry. So Kyrie is, you can harp on whatever, all the things why he's unlikable and he could be also considered locker room poison, but he's won. He can, if he puts it together, if he puts the right mindset, comes with a basketball attitude, I still think he could win. He's one of the most talented basketball players people have ever seen, right? Like that's one thing that you could admit. It's just too bad he continues to kind of be in his own head and get in his own way. But I think for me, I'm going to at least pick the guy who's won before and has proven to be a winner. So, and maybe this is just a bias. Maybe this is, I'm thinking a little bit more PC, rather than investment. So just strictly on who I'd rather pick as a player. I'm going to go Kyrie Irving.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a good one because as a basketball fan, I like Kyrie's game a lot better. I just find it more exciting. But as a basketball card collector, especially in this market, I'm just off silver prisms. And I know the pop count for that year is pretty low. Like you're saying, well, so I just checked 27. You're right. So it's low. But that being said, and it's, obviously silver prisms aren't numbered. It's low because of the grade, right? And I guess, definitely not as much released as in, Luka Doncic's year where there's thousands. So, but still, I think in this market, I'm still sticking by my rule. I'm trying to buy cards that are numbered, serial numbered. Like it's the scarcity is, not within just the grading of the card, but the actual, we know there's 999 of the Topps Chrome James Harden rookie card. And, it's 1,400 now, but I was looking at the peak. It was over 30K at one point to James Harden, right? And the peak of Kyrie Irving's Silver Prizm is at 12K. And I think there's going to be a certain ceiling for Silver Prizms because it's unnumbered. And I don't know if we'll ever get back to the peak. I doubt that the Topps Chrome James Harden will get back to 30K, but I think, he's
on his way out in Philly too, right?
I don't want to say.
I just saw it today.
Yeah, he's in the news now. He could go to another contender, or whether it's the Heat, I heard, or
no, he's going to bring them down.
Team.
Well, Kyrie's meeting up with the Suns front office.
The Suns?
Yeah. That's what I read today.
Jeez, we'll see. By the time this comes out, we might know where he goes. But I'm going with James Harden, number 999. The peak was there, a lot higher, and I think if everything breaks right, he wins one at least. And yeah, things can go up a lot more than the Kyrie Irving silver Prizm.
Nice.
Yeah. So for me, Kyrie's handles are just amazing. The things he can do on a basketball court.
Agreed. Yeah.
Just so amazing. But he is so unlikable. And there's like, yeah, I dislike him so much. And then I dislike Panini. Right. And it's not numbered. Yeah. So everything, like, I'm not even close. It's not 1v1. There's just one. And it's definitely the Topps Chrome James Harden for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
James Harden for the win.
All right. I'll go next.
Okay, you going?
Yeah.
Nice.
So apologies, I'm a little underprepared, so I don't have specific cards. But we're going to go Battle of the Luises. These they're
nice.
Both.
Oh, this is a classic.
You know what's coming. They're both in the top 10 WAR this year in MLB. So we've talked about this one. We've talked about Luis Arraez. He's at 3.5 WAR. We clearly know what he's doing, flirting with 400. Lots of buzz. His card is as high as it's ever been. Versus, you know where it's going? Our hobby sweetheart. Is like I don't know. I can't remember. Will, did you say this? Like a bad ex-girlfriend just never seems to go away. Luis Robert Jr. at 3.8 WAR. He's actually having a pretty darn good season. 23 home runs.
He's having a good season.
Yeah. Really bad team. Yeah.
So Arraez versus Luis Robert. No specific card. I think let's talk investment. Which one from this day forward, which is the better investment?
Ooh. I'll go first. You just can't quit Lubob. I know this could be the wrong answer. It probably is the wrong answer. But you just can't quit Lubob. So, yeah. Like, if Luis Arraez, we talked about this in a previous episode. If he flirts with 400... this year, in terms of investment, he's probably the right play because Luis Robert on the really bad Chicago White Sox, even him performing well, it's getting overshadowed by how upset the Chicago White Sox fans are and just that team going nowhere fast. So, but the potential for Luis Robert, his power speed combo, that's
home run race.
The only concern. Yeah, right. And the only concern is like the longer we get away from his rookie year, the less relevant he gets, right? And so that's what I'm concerned about. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Luis Robert one more time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 100% giving the wrong answer because I am 100% biased because I am 3,000% underwater on his cards. So I'm definitely going Luis Robert. Like Shohei's, like, we're talking about how much FOMO we have in every IG post every night. It's like a new stat about Shohei, like home runs and strikeouts and wins, all this stuff. But Luis Robert, he's fourth in the league right now with home runs. He's got 23 bombs.
He's been
just behind Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, and Shohei. So he's been crushing. He deserves a little bit. I know we're all scared, but you know what? Everyone got crushed by Shohei after that year when he got injured. Remember, Clark? Yeah, that's when you invested right after, right?
True, yeah.
So everyone was so down on Shohei, but now look at us. We're all just like FOMOing Shohei. Everyone needs to jump back on the Luis Robert train before you have just so much FOMO, you have to jump back on right now.
I don't know, man. It sounds like a trap. Shohei's a unicorn.
Just looking at these WAR numbers, like Luis Robert Jr. is at 3.8. He's fifth. Just to create some more FOMO for Shohei. Acuna, who is the early NL MVP favorite. He's at 4.6, having an amazing season. I don't know if you guys have looked at updated WAR numbers, but Shohei is at 6.3. Is the season not even halfway
ridiculous.
done? It's insane.
Yeah. It's double digit for sure this season.
All right. So I'm gonna, you know what we all wanted to say Luis Robert. I'm going Luis Robert. Everyone who is listening is gonna call us an idiot. I'm gonna make one point. Like Deep Value Investor, when he was on, he briefly talked about Luis Robert. Obviously not in a positive manner, but he made a great point, and he's just said he's just too old. He's too old to accomplish something like make a dent, maybe even like Hall of Fame. There's just not enough time. So I think that is 100% true. I definitely believe in that. He's not necessarily a long-term play, but in terms of like investment in the short term, like for me, Arraez is on a high, right? Like unless he gets 400, which is very, very tough to do, I think this is the peak of his value. Like this is the hype. As much hype as you can get for somebody like a Luis Arraez. Whereas Luis Robert is like, he's a bargain bin right now. Like you could pick up gold out of 2020. Like you could pick those cards up for really cheap, right? So if you want to throw some money at something very cheap, I think Luis Robert does still have a decent 1 or 2 window where his value could certainly bounce back. Especially if he ends up, I don't know, going neck and neck with Shohei right towards the end of the season for the home run race. Like he's going to make some noise, right? So there's still opportunity, and it's the risk reward is there versus Luis Arraez. I think the reward, is also there, but I think the percentage of that reward happening is a lot less. So mathematically, I think even Luis Robert makes sense. And maybe that's just us being idiots trying to salvage our Luis Robert. But yeah.
All right. Luis Robert sweep, but I'm sure there are listeners out there that are just banging their heads like, when are they going to get off the Luis Robert train?
Unsubscribe.
It is what it is. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. All right, good one. I like that. Okay, here we go. Last one. So the base auto, Bowman Chrome, first auto, PSA 10, both sold for $1,500. Okay. The first one is Julio Rodriguez. Remember him? Julio Rodriguez. Kind of, was the hobby darling before the start of the season, and now he's kind of faded a little bit, but, he's still doing decent. But his base auto, PSA 10 with the auto grade 10, so it's 1010, sold for $1,500, like I said, his 2019 Bowman Chrome. And I'm going to put that up against 2022 Bowman Chrome auto, PSA 1010, so same exact grade of Elly de la Cruz, who everyone's excited about now. He just hit the cycle recently. I don't know if you saw that highlight, but base auto also sold for $1,500, so exactly the same, and they sold within the past week. Who are you going for?
Oh man, okay, I'll go first. You know what? I was you know me, I don't like to pick the FOMO pick, the one that's on the high. But I will say, like, J-Rod, I was never necessarily on J-Rod. On the podcast, like I've never ever saved any of his cards in my eBay search. Even watching his highlights, nothing necessarily was that electric. It was like he's a really, really good player. He was in the home run derby and he was doing pretty good. Like it was watching like a solid player. But Elly de la Cruz, when you're seeing his highlights, I don't know, man. That guy is pretty darn electric, man. The height, the speed, the power. Maybe it is FOMO. Maybe I'm just like drinking like the Elly de la Cruz juice, but I don't know. He seems as electric as it gets. And I mean, just the fact that the hobby is also agreeing with that fact, makes it feel like there could be more to this. Like there could be more to his value. Who knows, right? Maybe people are sitting here saying like, actually, I think that's a steal. I think his red auto for whatever it went for, I don't know, I mean, it's actually a steal. The gold auto out of 50 it's actually a steal at 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever it sells for. So I'm going to completely go on the FOMO train and be like, yeah, I've seen the electricity in the player, and I think that's enough for me to be excited about that pick. So Elly De La Cruz for me.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
I'm having a tough time with Elly De La Cruz because I feel like I already saw him in the shape of O'Neal Cruz on the Pirates. And like, yeah, like I remember watching O'Neal Cruz highlights last year. Like he was like throwing 100 across the diamond and hitting these rockets, and he's like 9 feet tall. And I'm like, oh my God, it's rich man's O'Neal Cruz. Like, I think for me though, yeah, like I can't get behind the hype. I got to see it for longer. And I'm a little dubious of Cincinnati Reds. Like, I don't think they're relevant. I know they're doing really well this season, pretty much like because of surprisingly a lot thanks to Elly De La Cruz. But Julio had a great season last year and took them to the playoffs. And I think Seattle's a more collectible team. So I'm going back to J-Rod.
J-Rod, all right. Gonna break the tie. I wish I had Elly De La Cruz before he was called up, but now that he's called up and doing all these great things, yeah. Like I was just checking the stats, so just to give you guys some context, Julio is not having a bad season. I guess it just seems to be more quiet, but he does have 13 home runs, right? 18 stolen bases, and a 2.2 WAR this season. So he's having a decent season. When you have a strong rookie season, you expect a lot, so maybe that's why, right? But it's not like he's struggling. And then you look at Elly De La Cruz with like a quarter of the at-bats. He already has 3 home runs. He's batting over 300, and he has 9 stolen bases, so half of Julio Rodriguez in a quarter of the time. And we've seen his highlights already, and he's 21. Julio Rodriguez is only 22 as well, so they're pretty much the same age. So they're both young guys, but I'm with Will. I'm sticking with J-Rod. I think he has what it takes to have as long as he stays healthy, he could have a much longer, more consistent career as a power speed guy. And Elly is he's so raw, and I think like all batters, when the pitchers get more intel on him. He's going to go through an adjustment period, just like most batters. And I think when he goes through that slump, which I feel like is inevitable, then, I think that's the time to pick him up. But right now, you're FOMOing at this point. And at 1,500 for both of them, Julio's come down to 1,500, where Elly De La Cruz is up.
Rocketed up to 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to stick with J-Rod in this case. All right, another great episode, guys. Thanks again to all our listeners and subscribers. As always, we appreciate your feedback. And if you enjoyed the episode and you haven't given us a rating, we appreciate it if you do wherever you listen to your podcast. And we'll have a brand new episode for you this Friday. Thanks. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5Card Guys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at Trade You at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.